What's good guys, my name is Oleg Nikitin and you're watching No Limits On, and today we are comparing the brand new iPhone 12 Pro Max, the greatest Apple smartphone for video, with one of the best video-centric cameras of 2020, Sony a7S III. Most of the shots were recorded in S-Log3 10-bit 422 to max out the performance and dynamic range of the Sony a7S III, but also shot a few clips in PP off creative style neutral. The iPhone 12 Pro Max recorded in standard non-HDR mode because we can't yet edit and watch Dolby Vision HDR content properly. Feel free to pause the video at any moment to read the settings. Also, I shot some clips handheld to see the work of digital and sensor stabilization of the iPhone and the standard and active stabilization modes in the Sony. I have noticed that in the ultra-wide lens, the digital stabilization gives you some weird artifacts and halos, but it performs pretty good. The main camera module is even more stable with less artifacts, and it even beats the active steady shot mode in the a7S III. For better viewing experience, I then put this setup on my Ronin S. The dynamic range of the iPhone is ridiculously good. It doesn't beat the S-Log3 though, but it's getting close to it thanks to computational videography by combining two different exposures simultaneously. Oh, that's me by the way, a small backstage. By the way, no post sharpening added to the Sony a7S III, so sometimes the image may seem softer than the iPhone's in side-by-side comparison. The 240p in both cameras is very disappointing. I would much prefer using 4K 60 on the iPhone and 4K 120 on the a7S III because the quality is through the roof compared with mushy, noisy and blurry 240p Full HD. But unfortunately the iPhone over-sharpens the footage a lot, and it's not fixable in post when the Sony a7S III shoots with less sharpening and you can play with it in post. The best overall quality you get of course from the 26mm main camera of the iPhone because of a bigger sensor and sensor shift technology. Indoors and in low light, the ultra-wide and telephoto modules are pretty much useless and the S-Log3 is a little tough to color grade. I've also mentioned that the iPhone tends to overexpose the picture a little in the auto exposure mode, and the auto white balance is less accurate as well. The S-Log loves overexposure, so I've set the zebras to 95 and exposed for the sky. For some reason you can't see the zebras at 100 or 100 plus in S-Log3 on the Sony a7S III, so I was exposing for about 2 stops over. In some shots, like the 65mm telephoto shot of the buildings with the iPhone, I was really impressed that you can get this quality out of a phone, of course only in good lighting conditions, and without even color correcting this image with good dynamic range in 4K 60, it's impressive. The a7S III footage looks more pleasing to me, and we have much more room in post for color grading. By the way, all the footage was graded with Denny slots from Alistair Chapman. These slots are free, and I'll have a link down in the description below. Also, I'll upload some different sample footage to the cloud so you can download it and play with it as well. Nighttime and low light. Here's where the big sensor size starts to shine. The S&Q time-lapses with 1 second exposure and 1 frame per second in 4K looks gorgeous. But if you manage to put the iPhone on a stable surface and it's dark enough, you'll get long exposures on the iPhone as well. It looks decent, but it's still 1080p only, so it's enough for your Insta stories. Oh yeah, and I could see the stars shooting with my Sony a7S III. If I had a faster lens, it would look even more beautiful. The only iPhone camera suitable for low light is 26mm, but it suffers from flaring, weird small reflections of the light sources, and pretty mushy image overall. The a7S III, both in S-Log2 and PP off neutral, showed great results. No denoising was applied in post. And this is what I saw with my own eyes. During this comparison, we clearly see a lot of digital sharpening going on with the iPhone. And now let's run through different recording modes of the a7S III and compare them. Sorry for small wiggling in the picture, it was because of the warm air from my apartment was floating away, causing this weird wiggling issue. It's not a 100% scientific test, but you'll get the idea anyway. Feel free to pause the video to pixel peep or read the settings. So now let's talk about the recording options. The best quality and files compatibility and editing experience you'll get working off of the SSD ProRes to Atomos Ninja 5, and XAVC-HS as a backup to save space, but you wouldn't sacrifice the quality. The best quality to file size is XAVC-HS, but it lacks 25 and 30p for some reason. It does have 24, 50, 60, 100 and 120p, and I found no quality loss in there. It has really small sizes, and it's working great with the new Apple M1 computers because they have special decoders for H.265 footage. XAVC-S has great quality, medium but still large file sizes, and it is still tough to edit on my 5K iMac, so I made proxies. XAVC-SI has the same great quality. It's a little easier to edit, but the file sizes are enormous, 17 minutes of 4K 60 with 600 megabytes per second for 80 GB CF Express Type A card, and it doesn't have 100 or 120p recording in 4K, only in S&Q mode on your CF Express Type A. But you can simultaneously record proxies in 720p, 24, 30, 50, 60p, but not in 120p in any recording codec and mode except for the S&Q 100 120p. The files will be 9 megabits a second 420 10-bit in XAVC-HS, H.265 HD, or in XAVC-S HD H.264 with only 6 megabits per second 420 8-bit. It almost doesn't take the space and saves you some time during editing. So the most versatile and compatible codec to use in my opinion is XAVC-S 4K. With decent compatibility, okay file sizes, and all of the frame rates available, plus proxy footage, or I prefer to use my Atomos Ninja 5 for best editing performance, easier monitoring with LUTs and other assistant tools, higher bit rates, and internal recording for backup. But if you desperately need to travel and shoot on the go, you definitely would be fine with the internal recording in any 4K mode. So let's conclude. In good lighting conditions, the iPhone 12 Pro Max is a very capable video recording tool with nice colors, good dynamic range, pretty sharp 4K 60. If you don't need the shallow depth of field, 4K 120, interchangeable lenses, and you always want to have a camera with you, it's a decent choice for hobbyists, Instagrammers, TikTokers, content creators, or even YouTube vloggers. But for professional work, I can use it only as my backup of my backup camera. The A7S III is a real beast video camera with tons of great features, very robust and versatile codec options, low light, outstanding autofocus, etc, etc, etc. It's an expensive professional solution, and it would not provide you with stunning images out of the box. You have to know how to use it properly and how to work with the footage to max it out. But I think this comparison was rather interesting and entertaining. What do you think, guys? I plan on doing many interesting stuff about the Sony A7S III in the nearest future. And also I do have several interesting videos about the iPhone 12 Pro Max and the Sony A7S III already on my channels, so feel free to check them out down in the description below. And consider subscribing if you like what you just saw. And we're moving on to the quote of the episode. You can't live your life for other people. You've got to do what's right for you, even if it hurts some people you love. So choose your tools wisely, guys. And the question of the episode: what do you think of the iPhones and Sony's footage in this comparison? Which one do you prefer? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. This was Oleg Nikitin and No Limits On. Take care, guys. See you in the next video. Bye.